Okay, this standard here can be a nightmare. And it's not fun. It's easily the worst standard of the whole semester. Okay. We need to simplify. Okay. This is how we simplify. You make a 1, a 2, a 3, and then you make 3 ratio lines. Now, look on top of the ratio. Do you see a plus or a minus? You don't, okay? So, you see a plus or minus here. You do. So, you need to parenthesize that. Now, the one part I didn't parenthesize, I can just carry over here. But the one I did parenthesize, I need to go to the scratch paper. I need to write the expression, and I need to factor it. How many terms that have it? It looks like it's 2, so it'd be GCF. And you check for a difference of perfect squares. Now, some of you are like, do we get to use a GCF calculator? Yeah. Okay. You're also going to use something else for the standard later on. Okay. But for this, the GCF calculator is just fine. Just fine. Okay. So, do we have a negative in front? Nope. Do we have X on everything? Yep. So I put X and then 20 and 12. GCF's 4. So 4x. So I put 4x out here. Then I go divide by 4x. Put it in parentheses out there. That's 5x minus 3. The x's always cancel when you divide by x. Now, as this adopts, you have minus. Now, is your x to the second power? No, it's not. So right away, I know it's not adopts. X has to be to the second power. So what I do is I rewrite this expression in factored form. 4x. I actually don't put a parentheses around that, okay? 4x times parentheses 5x minus 3. Now 5x minus 3 is the only parentheses you have. Drop it. Now here's what you do with the outsides. You put 4x to the second over 4x. Put a 1 on that. Now with the x's, here's what you do. You take away the smaller power. Just take that out completely and subtract whatever power that was from 2. So 2 minus 1 is 1. Okay? Now the 4 and the 4. They are the same number. They can just be canceled. So that leaves me with an x to the first power on top. You can put a first power, and that's the answer. Okay, next problem. 1, 2, 3. Okay, now on top of the ratio, we have one ratio line. On top of it, you see plus and minus, so you parenthesize the whole thing and do the same on bottom. So we need to factor each one of those. So I have x to the second plus 2x minus 24. That's 3 terms, so that would be GCF t. You should know the GCF here is 1. You don't have a negative, you don't have x. 24 is void of x, and 1, 2, and 24 is 1. Okay, A, B, and C. So I take positive 1 times negative 24. That's negative. So I'm looking for a difference of the 2. Now put a positive on that 2 so you know it's positive. 1 and 24 is not a difference of 2. 2 and 12, not a difference of 2. 3 and 8, nope. 4 and 6, bingo. Now that 2 being plus means that 6 is plus. Now look up at the 24. It was negative, so the signs are opposite. So it's negative on 4. Now A is 1. X to the second, so we just need 2 parentheses. X minus 4 plus 6. So we will be replacing this expression with the factored form, x minus 4 times x plus 6. Okay, now write your other one. X to the second plus 7x plus 6. There are 3 terms, okay? So GCF, and then T-chart. You don't have the negative in front. You don't have X on everything. 1, 7, and 6 is just a 1 GCF, so it's a waste of time. Now A, B, C, and I find the product of 1 and 6. That's positive 6. Positive, so we want to sum. We want to add this time to come up to 7. 7's positive. 1 and 6. 1 plus 6 is 7. So 7's plus, so that makes 6 plus. And it's a sum, so the signs have to be the same. So plus 1 plus 6. Now A is 1x to the second. Basically, you don't know how to factor on this, you're screwed. Okay, plus 1 plus 6. So I rewrite that as x plus 1. And also, if there's a GCF, which there wasn't, but if there is a GCF, I need to carry that down here. Okay, so just know that. Like if there would have been a GCF of 3, I would have carried the 3 down and put 3, wrote down 3. You can't just forget about GCF here. Now before we drop the parentheses here, I have an x minus 4 on top. I don't have that on bottom. I have an x plus 6 on top, but I also have it on bottom. These cancel. So I dropped the 2 parentheses that didn't cancel down here. Now, do I have anything that's not in parentheses on top? No. Do I have anything that's not in parentheses on bottom? No. So this step is NA. Means I don't have to worry about things outside the parentheses like I did up here. Okay, keep it rolling. A 1, a 2, a 3. Okay. So look at your ratio. On top, you got plus, minus, parenthesize the whole top. On bottom, the whole thing. Okay. So first, I have 8x to the power of 2 plus 10x minus 3. That is 3 terms. We need to factor it using the GCF and T. GCF, negative in front, nope. X on everything, nope. 8, 10, and 3. Don't think there's anything you can divide those by other than 1, okay? So the GCF being 1, out. Okay, so I multiply A times C. 8 times negative 3 is negative 24, so it's difference of 10. Now 10 is positive, remember that. 124, nope. 24 divided by 2 is 12, that's my difference of 10. 10's positive, making 12 positive, and because I have a negative here, the signs have to be opposite. So positive 12, negative 2. Now A is 8x to the second, so I can't use XX. I got to have 4 parentheses. I go 8x, 8x, and then minus 2 plus 12. Now we divide these by the greatest common factor between the two. So 8 and 2, the greatest common factor is 2. So I divide by 2, and that's 4x minus 1. 8 and 12. I got 4, so I'm going to divide these down by 4. And that's 2x plus 3. Was there a GCF? Nope. So I write these 2 parentheses. 4x minus 1 times 2x plus 3. Okay. Now I go do the bottom. Factor the bottom. 6x to the second plus 13x plus 6. 1, 2. There's 3 terms. Okay, the GCF, negative in front, nope. You have x on every term, no. So I've got 6, 13, and 6. So 1 is the GCF once again, out. Okay, so I take A times C. Positive 6 times positive 6. That's positive 36. So I got a positive, so it's a sum of 13. Now 13 is positive. 1 and 36. That does not add to 13. 36 divided by 2 is 18. 36 divided by 3 is 12. That's 15. I got to get 13. 36 divided by 4 is 9. 4 plus 9 is 13. 13 is positive, making our 9 positive. We have a positive product, so the signs have to match. They have to be the same. So positive. Now, a is equal to 6x to the second. So I make double set. And then 6x, 6x, plus 4, plus 9. Okay, 6 and 4, the GCF's 2. So I reduce these down by 2, and that's 3x plus 2. 6 and 9, the GCF is 3. So that's going to be 2x plus 3. So I rewrite that expression as 3x plus 2 times 2x plus 3. Now you got a bunch of different parentheses. Do you have any? You have this. Do you have it on that one on bottom? Nope, you can't cross that one out. Do you have that one on bottom? Yep, get rid of them. Now go down to step 3 and just drop your parentheses. Those are in the answer. Okay. Now, do I have anything not in parentheses on top? Nope. Anything not in parentheses on bottom? Nope. So step 2 is NA. And that's the final answer. Okay, number 4. Simplify that. 1, 2, 3. Top's got a bunch of pluses and minuses. Parenthesize it. Parenthesize bottom. So we got 1x to the third minus 5x squared minus 3x plus 15. This has 4 terms. Okay, so 4 terms. We go right to the grouping method. And then we're going to make a second box with dots. Okay, difference of perfect squares. Okay, so grouping, parentheses plus parentheses, and then make spaces outside. And we put 1x to the power of 3 minus 5x to the power of 2, and then negative 3x plus 15. Okay, negative in front, nope. You have x on both, and you want to put it to the second power. And then the GCF of 1 and 5 is 1, okay? Now I'll put a 1 down here. You don't have to, but now we have a negative in front here. So we're going to do negative. Do we have x on each one? No, so we don't put x, okay? Then 3 and 15, the GCF is 3. So 1x to the second's out here, negative 3's out here. So that's going to make these cross out. 1x minus 5. This will be the same thing, 1x minus 5. So in each parentheses, I have 1x minus 5. So out here, I'm going to make a parentheses and simply put what's common, 1x minus 5. And that leaves me with 1x to the power of 2 minus 3. Now, we're checking for the dots in the x to the second parentheses, okay? You have a minus, your x is to the second power, okay? But 1 is a perfect square, 3 is not, so we don't do that. So I write these two factors. Now if I had a dots, if that would have been like 9, that would have been 1x, 3, and 3, I would have had to drop that down beside it, but I don't, okay? So parentheses 1x minus 5 times 1x minus 3. Now the bottom, 1x to the second minus 8x plus 15. That's 3 terms, okay? So GCF followed by the T table. The GCF, you don't have a negative in front. You do not have x on everything. 1 is the GCF out of the trio. Then I multiply 1 by positive 15. That's positive 15. So I need to find a sum that would equal 8. Now keep in mind our 8 is negative. 1 and 15 is not a sum of 8. 2 is a decimal. 3 and 5, there we go. Now 8 being negative like it is means 5's negative. The higher factor is automatically negative. Then we have a positive. Well, the only way to multiply to a positive is if the signs are the same. So -5, -3. Now a is 1x to the second. That's good. I just need 2 parentheses. So x minus 3 minus 5. So I put x minus 3 times x minus 5. Now, you have 1x minus 5. Well, I have 1x minus 5 down here so I can cross those out. You have 1x, oops, sorry, I screwed this up. That should have been 1x to the second because when I got that as 1x second, okay? I cannot cross these out. They are not exactly the same. You can put a 1 there, but they're still not the same because you got a second power here, and that's just to the first power. So those parentheses remain the same. Do you have anything outside of parentheses? Nope. Nope. Okay, this is my answer. Okay, number 5, I will not need to use the scratch paper. We do have 2 fractions, but that's not a problem. To multiply, you still use the 1, 2, 3 process. You just consolidate the 2 fractions into a single fraction. That's allowed in multiplication. When you add and subtract, it's not allowed, which we will be doing, but not at this moment. Okay, do I have any plus or minus here? I don't think you do. Do you have any here? I don't think you do. Do you have any here? Do you have any here? No, you don't have any plus or minuses, which means I do not need any parentheses, and I do not need this scratch paper for this problem. Okay, so here's what I do. I just write the crap all together, okay? I write 5x to the second, y to the third, times y to the third, okay? And then 30, and then, sorry, my bad, x to the 7th times 30x, y to the 4th, okay? You just carry it all over. Okay, now I have no parentheses that I need to worry about, but I do have lots of stuff not in parentheses, so step 2 will be done. Here's how you do it. Look on top. The only coefficient you have is 5. X, you just have to the second. Now with the y, you got to add the powers. 3 plus 3 is 6. Now the only coefficient I have on bottom is 30. You have x here and x to the first here, so that would make x to the power of 8, and then y to the power of 4. That's the only y I have, so it keeps its power. So I basically consolidate my top, simplify it. Now, we need to compare the top with the bottom. Here's the first thing. 5 and 30, you go to your GCF calculator. The GCF's 5, so you're going to divide this by 5, and that would be 1, and divide 30 by 5, and that's 6. So 1 over 6. There are no parentheses. Now with the x's, we cross out the x that's to the smaller of the powers, and then whatever power that was, 2, I take 2 away from 8. So 8 minus 2 is 6, but that's on bottom, so x to the 6 goes on the bottom. Now I have y's, my smaller power is a 4, and I take 4 away from 6, and that would be y to the second, but that is on top. Okay. So there were no parentheses, so I just wrote everything down, okay? Then I had to do step 2 because I got lots of stuff not in a parentheses, so I simplify the top by adding exponents on like variables, okay? And then I simplify the top and bottom, GCF the big numbers, and then you take the exponent, the variable with the smaller exponent gets eliminated, and you subtract that exponent from the other one. Okay, now our next problem, number 6. Once again, multiplication is the 1, the 2, the 3. step one, get parentheses. You got pluses above this ratio. You have a plus below on that one. You have a minus on that one, a plus on that one. So we have to factor everything. There's nothing I can just carry over like up here. Okay, so I have x to the power of 2 plus 12x plus 32. So that's 3 terms. So that would be GCF and T. GCF would be 1, negative in front, no. Does every number have the x behind it? No. 1, 12, and 32 is 1. Okay. So I take positive 1 times positive 32. Well, that makes us a positive 32. So I'm going to find the sum of two factors that add up to 12. Now keep in mind the 12 is positive. 1 and 32, that's not 12. 2 and 16, that's not 12. 32 divided by 3 is a decimal. And then 32 divided by 4 is 8, that's 12. 12 positive means 8's positive. And this is a positive. That's because it's a sum, so the signs have to match. So plus 4. Now a is just a 1, okay? So I just need x to the second, okay? So simple factoring x. You don't have to worry about the more dop stuff in this standard, okay? Okay, so this turns in, this is now replaced with those two factors. There was no GCF, so we put x plus 4 times x plus 8. Okay, now on the top we've also got x to the second power minus 49. That's 2 terms, so that would be GCF, and then seeing if I have a difference of perfect squares. Okay, GCF here is just negative in front. Nope, x is not on everything, so it's just 1. Now first, do you have a minus? You do. Is your x to the second power? It is. Okay, we know that then is x times x. Is 1 a perfect square? Yeah, it's 1 times 1. Is 49 a perfect square? That's up there, that's 7. 7 times 7. So I replace this expression with the factorization. 1x plus 7 times 1x minus 7. Okay, now we go to the bottom. 6x plus 42. It's 2 terms, so GCF. Then we see if we have a difference of perfect squares. I doubt I will on this one because I don't see any negatives. So GCF, negative in front, nope. Do you have x on everything? Nope. And then 6 and 42 have a GCF of 7, of 6, my bad, 6. So 6 is out. Now I divide by 6, and that's 1x plus 7, or x plus 7. Clearly not a dot. If you don't even have a minus sign, you don't do it. Okay, so I need to rewrite this expression as 6 times parentheses 1x plus 7. Okay, now last one. X second plus 4x. How many terms is that? Looks like 2 to me. Okay. I don't think there'll be a dots because if I don't even see a negative sign anywhere, that's a good indication it's not a difference. Okay, we don't have the negative. We do have x on both, and the GCF of 1 and 4 is 1, but since it's 1x, I'm actually going to go through with it because I can cancel the x on the 4. Now I got 1x plus 4. Now if I don't see a minus, we ain't doing the dots. So I rewrite that as 1x times parentheses 1x plus 4. Okay, now you have lots of parentheses. Hopefully we can get rid of some of them. I got x plus 4, that's like 1x plus 4, and I have that on bottom in the parentheses, so those cancel. Got 1x plus 8, that is not on bottom. I got 1x plus 7, that's on bottom. 1x minus 7 is not. So put the parentheses you did not cross out. There's also 1x minus 7. We won't have parentheses on bottom then, okay, because both those remaining are on top. Now, swing back to step 2. You look at stuff not in parentheses. I don't have anything on top, but on bottom I have a 6 and a 1x, okay? We need to multiply 6 by 1, which is 6, and this is the only x I need to worry about. Now, obviously, I can't simplify that because I don't have anything on top, so I just drop 6x, and that's in the denominator. Okay, now this one. Actually, cross that out. I don't like that, the way that's written. I want you to rewrite that as 2x plus 8, okay? I don't like what I did there. So, would I put no, there's no plus or minus, so 8x squared is carried over. Here is a plus, parenthesize it. Here's a plus, parenthesize it. This does not have a plus with it. It is just carried over. Okay, now the ones in parentheses I take to the scratch paper. So 2x plus 8, 2 terms. So GCF, and do I have a DOPS? GCF, negative in front, no. X on everything, nope, not on 8. 2 and 8 have a GCF of 2, so we need to put a 2 out. Then I go divide by 2. We factor out 2, and that's 1x plus 4. That's not a minus, so it can't be a difference. So I rewrite this times 2 times parentheses 1x plus 4. Put times dots. Okay, x plus 4, that'd be 1x plus 4. Two terms again. Now the GCF, we don't have the negative. We don't have x on everything. That would just be a 1 GCF. So if it's just a plain old 1, don't do it. We do not have the minus sign. It's a plus. So this ends up being prime. So I keep that in the parentheses as it originally is. Okay, now look at your parentheses. Looks to me like I have this on top and bottom, so I'm not going to have any parentheses down there. Now I got outside factors, okay? First I look at the top. I need to take 8 times 2, which is 16, and this is the only x on top. It's to the second power. This has no numbers. I have an x. This is the only one. It's to the first power. Now it's quite obvious 16, I don't have anything to reduce that with, so that will remain in the answer. Now the x's, when they're on both sides, we take the smaller one out completely and just subtract that exponent, which used to be a 1, from 2, which is 1. So that's x to the 1 on top. Denominator's empty, who cares? I can have an empty denominator. It's when I have a numerator, I got to put the number 1. Okay, then the last one. 1, 2, 3. This would not be parenthesized, okay? It's only one term carried over. There's no plus, there's no minus. This would get a parentheses because we got minus and plus. This has a minus operator, and that has a minus operator. I need to factor those 3. Okay, so on this scratch paper, x to the second minus 11x plus 30, okay? 3 terms would be GCF and T. GCF's 1. Negative in front, no. X on everything, no. Hence it's 1. So I multiply positive 1 by positive 30. That would be positive 30. So I would be finding a sum of 11. Keep in mind 11's negative. 1 and 30. 2 and 15, no way. 3 and 10, that's 13. 4 is a decimal. If you divide 30 by 5, you get 6. Okay, so that's a sum. Now the higher factor's got to have the matching sign. You got to have more negative than positive. We have a positive product, so the signs have to be the same. That's the only way that's possible. Now a is just 1x to the second, makes it an easy trinomial to factor. So xx minus 5 minus 6. Okay, so we replace this with times x minus 5 times x minus 6. Okay, 2x minus 10 has two terms. So GCF and DOPS. GCF negative in front, nope. X and everything, nope. 2 and 10. That's 2. Okay, so divide by 2, and that becomes 1x minus 5. Now we at least have the minus, but I see that my x is not to the second power, so that makes the DOPS undoable. But I do need to rewrite this as 2 multiplied by 1x minus 5. Now also in the denominator, we've got x to the second minus 6x. That is 2 terms. So GCF, DOPS. GCF, negative in front. No, you do have x on both. 1 and 6 is 1. So we have to go through with it because there's an x on the, anytime there's a negative with the 1 or an x on the 1, we're going through with the GCF step. So 1x minus 6. Cancel those x's. DOPS, doesn't appear I have any. Okay. I have a minus, but that ain't to the second power anymore. Can't do it. So I rewrite this as times 1x, not in parentheses, times 1x minus 6. Don't put your GCF in the parentheses, okay? Don't do that. Okay, let's see what I got. Well, got that. That's the same as that, okay? That just had a 1, 1. And these are the same after I put the 1 here, so those cancel because x and 1x mean the same thing. So I'm not going to have any parentheses. Now, look at your outside. Outside you got a 7, and this is the only x you have. It is to the first power. Now you got a 2 here and a 1 here. Well, 2 times 1 is 2, and then this is the only x I have outside, and that's to the first. Now, 7 over 2, what's the GCF? If it's 1, we're just going to keep that 7 over 2. We will not be reducing that. Now, these have the same power, so get rid of them. So the final answer is 7 over 2. Some of you are like, do we divide 7 by 2? I mean, you can, not necessary.